Hi, welcome you guys. We are happy to announce the second physician summit that we are holding, and the goal is kind of what you guys just experienced, and that was to create a space to bring the medical community in the same room of all of us experts in commercial real estate. Because what we have found, probably all of us in this room have found, that if we all just kind of knew each other a little bit better and a little bit sooner, things would go a little bit smoother. Agreed? So this is the space that we're trying to create to do this, and then bring content that we feel like is applicable and exciting and people want to know more about. So with that, my name is Stephanie Fogelson. I'm with Venn Construction, and
I'm Dr. Valerie Gettings.
And
I'm the owner of Dr. Valerie Gettings and DP LLC. I'm a naturopathic doctor here in Arizona.
Awesome. And then you want to thank our sponsors and we'll get kicked off?
Yes, I just want to give a massive, massive thanks to our sponsors. So thank you to First Citizens Bank for being our name badge sponsor. And thank you so much. And a huge shout out to Freshbox for being our food and beverage sponsor.
Yes.
So thank you for the amazing food. So definitely get some food. And then our event sponsors. So Medline, Innovative Medical Systems, First Bank, and ARMM Consulting. So thank you so much.
So with that, the panel, I love when panels have to introduce themselves. It's my favorite part. Make it nice and uncomfortable for you all. So Michael Dupuy, would you kick us off?
Yeah. My name is Mike Dupuy. I'm a commercial real estate broker focusing on healthcare real estate here in Greater Phoenix.
Kevin Draper, commercial banker, First Citizens Bank, focused mostly on healthcare here in the Valley.
Tim Loftis with MedOne Group. We are exclusively healthcare finance for equipment.
My name is Mike Wilkinson. I'm with ARMM Consulting, and we specialize in life safety consulting for surgery centers.
Welcome, you guys. Thank you for being here. So with that, our topic today we're covering is supporting the medical entrepreneur, those clinicians that want to kind of come out of wherever environment they're at and start their own business, own their own real estate, whatever that might look like. So Michael Dupuy, if you don't mind, we're going to start with you. From a high-level real estate perspective, what is the state of medical office?
It's doing comparatively well. So I would say that there are other product types that are probably doing worse than medical office. You could probably pick on retail and office properties as being a couple food groups that are struggling. Pricing compared to a year ago is down, but it's not down compared to some of the other asset classes. So I think overall it's pretty good, but not as good as it was a year ago.
Is it smiley face, or we have like a straight liney face?
I'd say it's a straight. There's a little apprehension probably too that's happening. The interest rate environment, which Kevin can speak to more eloquently than I, is pretty impactful. I mean, it's a cost impact to just about everything that we do. So that's very threatening.
Makes sense. So we'll blame Kevin?
Yes.
I don't know if we
perfect.
blame Kevin. Yeah.
Is that a segue?
It actually is. So this question is for Kevin. When it comes to securing financing, what are the lending options right now for ASCs?
For ASCs, there's actually many different options. I know a lot of folks think that banks have this box and it's got to fit right in the box, but I can say, and Mike can attest, at First Citizens, we try to make the deal work any way we can. For an ASC, we have clients that are looking for dirt, they're looking for gray shells, looking to do ground up. So typically we do 85% loan to value financing, but you can do a 5-year term on a 20-year amortization, 7-year, 10-year, 15-year fully amortizing. We just did one on a 10-year, 25-year am. We're now going to 96, 97% LTV on some of our projects just because costs are exceeding the appraised value so high. So there's actually quite a few options out there.
Still looking good.
Yeah.
So what would you consider to be the large ticket items that you can include in your lending?
Oh boy.
What are the ones that stand out?
Yeah, the top ones. Like
Everything.
Pretty much. I mean, from design to architectural to engineering to permitting to brokerage fees, you know, as long as the value is in there and supports that, all of that can be rolled into the financing.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, and Tim and I recently met at a conference, and I was interested to talk to you because we've had so many projects recently that, lack of a better way of saying it, they kind of get to that point of the project and go, oh, wait a minute, we still need to buy more stuff, and that money's kind of not here anymore. So meeting you was really interesting. So can you guys give us an overview of what that option exists when it comes down to like that final moment?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think meeting Kevin was also just kind of that, light bulb in a lot of ways, because I think that we've all seen that where the priority when you're getting started in a project like this is, okay, we've got some big expenses to get this here. You've got your land, you've got your building, you got all of these things that you're so focused on putting together that by the time you actually get to, okay, we're done with that, you haven't really even had the time, or sometimes not as much in depth, to take a look at, well, how is the equipment? How is this all going to be put together? In fact, I was just talking with a couple folks here earlier about an experience where they're going through the exact same thing now. And so I think that's what's really brilliant about this particular meeting with everybody, because you get a whole team that allows you to take a look soup to nuts and make sure that you're missing anything. And with us at MedOne, we've been doing this for over 30 years and all we do is healthcare. So we've worked with over half of the hospitals in the country, but what we've seen is the same thing I think we're all seeing here, which is a big trend towards surgery centers are where we're going to see more and more depth and growth in the healthcare market. So I think that the timing for this is right, and it's definitely the right team. And we've worked with over half of the hospitals in the country and numerous surgery centers. But the other thing that we really have a lot to offer is within our vendor relationships. So we've worked with so many of the vendors that are a part of this, and so for us to be able to come in and fill that other part that is going to be needed once they're done with, Kevin and, putting together that part, now we're still able to kind of monetize and see what are those costs going to be and put this together as a whole package rather than kind of piecemealing it and later on going, I don't even know what I'm going to do about that second part.
Makes sense. We didn't even have you guys sit in order on purpose. This just kind of worked itself out. We're just going down the line
We
here.
got your notes.
One more for you, Tim. Are there options for lending on equipment once the surgery center is actually up and running? So let's say procedures change, we want to do different things, more things. Is opportunity still open there?
Absolutely. I think, much like Kevin, as a financial institution, our whole goal is to make sure that we're providing not only the support, but the guidance and being flexible enough to our customers to make sure it fits within their budget, that we're comfortable that they can make those payments. So, getting them up and started is absolutely one thing, but our best relationship are those that are long-term and that we can continue to build, and we'd love nothing better to see customers continue to build their operations and grow from there.
Okay.
This question is for Michael Dupuy. So just
You're back. Come back.
So just a little bit, just really quick though. So I moved here from Buffalo, New York, and I was looking for options for real estate as a physician. And so there's many different options that different buildings that physicians can go in. So what advice would you give for someone like me who's looking to get a space? I'm in a new area. What would you say to someone like me?
Yeah, I would talk to as many people as you can, right? So we're not the only commercial real estate brokers in town that focus on healthcare real estate. There's a team at Cushman and Wakefield that does very similar work to what we do. There's a team at Jones Lang LaSalle that does very similar work to what we do. So it's kind of collecting multiple opinions and seeing what they say and finding common themes in what they're telling you. I mean, there's a variety of options, and you really need to have a deep conversation as to what your goals are, what your time horizon looks like. So it's not just talking to one person, it's really figuring out, it's a process. I think also having the right people involved, having a good contractor involved, a good lender involved, a good architect involved, and all of those people are here in this room. So I don't think you can go wrong talking to a lot of the people that are in here about what your goals are, but you have to have a lot of conversations in order to get where you're trying to go.
So speaking to that, what are some common mistakes you have seen when purchasing real
Not a
estate
one.
for medical use?
No, I think time, right? So people don't give themselves enough time to really understand and evaluate the market. I think people come to us oftentimes and they say, I have a lease that's expiring in 3 months and I'm trying to build out a new facility. Well, that's not going to work. I mean, there's going to be like a million reasons why that doesn't. I mean, everyone here will say that that's not enough time. But time is certainly something that you want on your side. So starting that process earlier rather than later will really depends on the size of the project. It depends on. It depends on. I would say it mainly depends on the size of the project. And 18 months to me would probably be a good, just rough number if I was just generally advising someone. You could move it up to 12 or 9 months. Certainly, it's tough sooner than 9 months to get something done if it involves any level of customization. So,
That's very helpful.
yeah.
Especially from a contractor perspective, we really like when you just keep cutting that number down. It's really fun.
Yeah, late before you start.
We notice the deadline doesn't change.
I can
much,
already
right?
feel
Like,
being
it just
late.
stays right there.
Yeah.
So Mike, I want to go to you because these surgery centers have started to pop up in town in a big way. And what I'm learning is the life safety component of it is not really well understood necessarily. So will you start us there and just kind of give us like, what is it, who does it matter to, and how do you go about it?
So life safety is a very specialized part of healthcare. And what it deals with is building code, NFPA code, deals with OSHA, deals with ANSI, there's a billion codes out there that you got to know. And what we've seen in the life safety aspect of it, especially from a surgery center, is that the people that run the surgery centers don't have an overall knowledge of what they're supposed to get. They understand they have to do a fire drill. They understand, but how often? When do they have to do it? So what it is basically it goes from anywhere from, like how much hand sanitizer can you have stored? Can it be on carpets? To generators, to lighting, to sprinklers, to fire alarms. So it's really a broad spectrum of anything dealing with the safety of patients and staff.
Hmm. So then if I'm a doc and I have a surgery center under design, under construction, it's kind of coming about, when do I need to start caring, looking at it, researching it, involving you all?
And that's a very interesting question because it really is, honestly, architects know IBC, they know the codes. So that's really never the issue. What it is the difference from our perspective is life safety is really from CMS, if you're accredited. So if you're looking to get reimbursement, that's where life safety really plays a big factor into this because it ends up being the IBC codes don't always match up with NFPA code. So, and the NFPA code that they look at from CMS perspective is from 2012. And we're all building from 2018 and up. So it's difficult to look back and say, where does this get involved in the process? And so for our perspective, a brief overview of the plans usually is a good start. And then once it's built, doing a walkthrough and ensuring that if that's the path you're taking, if you're looking to get CMS or Medicare reimbursement, is to have us walk through and look at the stuff from that perspective. Because we've had a lot of experience between dealing with CMS, dealing with Joint Commission, dealing with Quad ASF, dealing with all these accrediting bodies, is that we know what they're looking for, and we're up to date on everything that gets changed. So
you want to speak to the architectural review at the state level, or we can skip that part if it's a little dicey?
It's still a little dicey. We're still trying to figure that part out. But overall, what it looks like is that the architectural review is not going to the state architect anymore. Am I gathering that correct?
And the risk there for the physician, kind of just talk
Correct,
about
yeah,
that.
so it's gonna land on the architectural stamp and the review from them. So that's dangerous in the sense because you're not getting the state health department looking at it saying, whoa, wait, where's this? So that's a little dicey, but it's with the right people in place. And like I said, all the architects are very smart. They know what they're doing. It's just, it's something I see all the time, which is that CMS perspective of it. Where does this fire alarm have to be? Where does the panel have to be? And it's things like that just get missed because the city code doesn't require it. And so then CMS comes in and says, you've got to move that fire alarm panel. And you're like, well, that's going to cost a lot of money to do it now because you have to do it within a certain amount of days. And so it really kind of puts you behind the 8 ball, and it could again got fixed during design.
Thank you. That's super helpful. And then kind of transitioning. So that's on the front end, all this stuff, right? How to get the money, how to pay for it, where to find it, how to make sure it's compliant. And then we just kind of want to transition. So pretend like that all went well. Things are going good. It's a hard process to navigate, right? And so to take this on, usually the smiley face is at the end of the conversation, like when you get to sell the thing, right? So to you for your official question.
So this question is both for Kevin and then Michael Dupuy. So so everything went well, right? So once the facility's up and running, then what are the options to sell the surgery center?
You can't.
It's yours forever.
How do you sell it?
I have this thing.
Well, personally, I've had it happen too many times.
Okay.
The physicians are getting offers that they really cannot walk away from. So one thing I would say is when you're negotiating your lending terms, this is becoming a big deal now, is prepayment penalties. So we put those in place to not encourage you to pay us off early. So that's becoming a rather large difficulty that we're dealing with. Because that's break funding, that's a fee that we have to pay. A lot of physicians think, well, you did the financing, can you just let it go? And that's a hard one to negotiate. So I let my borrowers know now, you need to, it seems like an afterthought, but the prepayment penalty is a big deal for this reason only.
How long are prepayment penalties?
It depends on the term of the loan. So if we do a 10-year fixed rate loan, we like to have it for at least half of the duration.
Okay.
And then it falls off.
Gotcha.
Now the beauty with us is you can make a double payment any month from inception and it won't trigger a prepay. So if they want to knock down that principal from the get-go, they can.
But they have to be in the space for that 5 years.
Well, they don't have to be in the space. They can sell at any time,
Okay.
but they will incur a prepayment penalty.
You have to keep the loan.
Yeah.
And then Michael, how would you address that for selling the surgery center?
Yeah, I would say that there's a market for surgery centers. There's a variety of different buyers that are interested in acquiring them and adding them to their portfolio, whether they're high net worth individuals or institutional investors. A lot of it probably hinges on the financing and what you can do there. But when it comes down to healthcare real estate, it really has performed nicely through the pandemic. Again, compared to other product types and asset classes. So it's emerged as something that's perceived as safe. And so, in kind of challenging times or uncertain times, assets like that become higher demand or in higher demand. But yeah, there's a variety of groups that are interested in it. So I think you, again, talk to the right professional, make sure that you understand probably what it's worth and under what circumstances, because it could involve personal guarantees from the physicians. It could involve a very long-term lease that they would be obligated to post-close of escrow. There could be other considerations or factors as part of the sale, like there might be a capital requirement in order to upgrade the facility in order to sell it. So those are just some of the things that could be impactful to an owner of a surgery center if they were considering a sale. But I think that there's a really a much broader market, a much broader buyer pool for surgery centers and medical office real estate now than there was 36 months ago.
That's helpful to know. So a lot to consider.
So full panel. I think the cheesy term here is popcorn questions. So just in general, everyone address this, dealer's choice. What are the pitfalls that anyone should be aware of that you wish that people knew more about? If you had one wish, like I just wish, I know my answer, but please.
I would go back to what Mike said, allow yourself enough time. There's going to be a lot of time doing site development. Make sure that you've got enough cash on the sidelines because there's going to be plenty of capital calls. So I think you definitely need to have some patience and the right broker.
Time, money, people.
Time, money, people.
I would say that it ain't no hobby.
Whatever do you mean?
I think that there's a lot of professionals that have a tough time
Yeah.
owning and operating real estate, and that focus on it full time. It's their core competency. It's what they do day in, day out. They shop the debt markets. They know how to talk to the contractors. They know how to talk to the architects, and they have a tough time making money. If you go into it thinking that it's easy, I think that you're going to get your butt kicked.
So what would you like them to think?
I would like them to listen to people. I'd like them to consider other people's
Talking
opinions.
about positions, right?
Yeah, we're talking about positions.
This is recorded, Chris.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah,
But listening.
Listening, good first step.
I think you guys get my point.
I get it. Understood. Message received. Anyone else? Something you wish they knew?
I was going to say, it's from our experiences is that once you get a survey from either whoever's doing state or federal surveys is every surveyor is different, right? And one thing we run into out there is, well, the last guy didn't say this, and the last guy didn't say it. It just means they didn't see it. That's what it comes down to. And so really taking a deep dive into life safety and really getting above ceilings, opening doors, looking at documentation is really covering yourself to make sure that you don't fall into that trap of it got missed.
I think it really comes back to what Michael was saying is, in terms of getting the right team together and then listening, because I think that, where we see a lot of pitfalls is just not having thought through because there's so much to think through. Kind of putting yourself up against the wall and having unrealistic deadlines makes you kind of try to jump over or shortcut things. So I would just say that the more that you get the right team together and then give yourself time with that kind of planning, much more valuable.
And then I just want to add to that. Is there anything with regards to equipment lending that you wish people would know at the time?
I think in a lot of ways it's really pretty straightforward. I think the biggest thing is that they don't think about it until it comes up in their face. And that when you're starting, especially with a venture like this where you're looking at the real estate, that seems to be so much of the bigger picture that it's really kind of hard to look past that. In terms of the different types of lending and how that fits in, I don't think that there's anything that would be too complex about that. I think it's more a matter of really just making sure that that's part of the conversation early enough on that you don't surprise yourself with your cash flow and what you're actually capable of doing.
And we do want to open it up a little bit to Q&A, and Matt was going to string a microphone from the ceiling like a MMA fight or something. But we decided not to do that. So if you have a question, give us a second to repeat it so the audio picks it up. Is there anything you guys would like to ask our panel?
I have a question, but I'm not sure how to ask it.
That's okay. Well, I'll fix it. You can ask me
No way coming out?
No.
Okay, good. So my actually Kevin, so what is the percentage on contingency that you put on your construction projects these days so supplies are
50%?
every time?
The question was.
That's a great question because it is.
It's okay.
Okay. You want to repeat the question?
Beyond 50%, what is the percent contingency that you build into projects right now with this super stable market that we're living in?
It's a discussion that we talk about a lot. Some borrowers, they want 25% in there. We require at least 10%, and we require it outside of the contract, so that way we can control it. If it's in the GC contract, we have zero control. So I would say in today's market, at least 10, we're looking at upwards of 20 to 25% now.
Good Lord, seriously, 25%?
Leanne, that was your out loud voice.
I didn't get any of that in the budget.
There was another.
Seriously, you're 25%?
We just did 25%.
Oh.
And that was a $8 million project?
I have a question for you. So Nick back there who just gave up, we have to buy now a tremendous amount of equipment, product, you name it, very early on in the game because of the product and supply problem that we have. Contingency is an issue, right? Contingency, any kind of capital. Are you allowing for that in the front of the loan to be able to hand to the builder or client to be able to go purchase this stuff, i.e. a generator, i.e. an elevator, things that we need that cost a lot of money? Do you take that into consideration?
We do. It just really depends when we close on the loan.
Okay.
So the way we structure it is it's a line of credit.
Right?
Depending on the timeline of the project, we'll give them 18 to 24 months, interest only.
Oh, so is it actual, a separate loan?
Well, it's a line of credit,
Okay.
say for 8 million.
Okay.
They make every pay app that comes in, they make a draw.
Yep.
And so they're only paying interest only on the portion they draw.
Got it.
And at the end of the 18 months, it converts automatically to a
Over.
P&I
I
loan.
gotcha.
So we close it up front with the interest rate now to hedge the interest rate risk,
Right.
and then allow them to make those purchases as we go along.
But you're customizing that with these clients.
Yes, and it depends on the time frame and what have you.
We hear that as a complaint a lot.
Okay.
Where's the money? We can't get the capital we need. We need to buy all this stuff. That's a problem.
But there are instances where we're not going to close for another 6 months, so
Right, right.
that's where the liquidity comes in, that they need to have that in the beginning.
Dupuy did address that we need cash, time, money, and friends on the sidelines to start. So, and to listen.
It's not
Lauren,
rocket
did you have a
science.
question?
More time.
Yeah, for Tim, I know this is completely ambiguous, but if somebody's gonna build a surgery center, what would you say to think of as far as equipment budget? Like, let's say it's just a 2 OR, ASC, like, not a cath lab, but
Sure.
I know it's such a hard variable number, but like, just in general.
Well, I mean, and a lot of that depends on what type of, or, what kind of surgery center you're going to do. And I think that, again, I'm going to kind of defer to this group here, and that's, I think, the real benefit of that, because in terms of what kind of equipment, we have the different vendors who are here in this room who can tell you, you're going to need to build this into the walls, for example. You're going to need to have certain structural elements. And that's one of the things that we do as well that's going to be separate from what Kevin and the real estate side does. So you've got your, kind of your brick and mortar, and you've got that all kind of put together. But now you've got the entire interior. And I think a lot of times people think about, okay, well, I may need some lights, or I'll need an OR table, or I'll need, whatever different type of equipment. But a lot of times, depending on what you're doing, you're going to need infrastructure that you've built within that's going to support those different types of equipment. And I think this is just where, again, we're very flexible with that. So if you have things that need to be built within the structure to support that equipment, we'll include that as well. So there's quite a bit of flexibility in how we can support that. If you're looking for some sort of a number, just to throw the wag out there, right?
She gave you hints.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
I mean,
said 2 or.
Oh, did I miss it?
No, just kidding.
How much per OR? Per OR? Skytron, you got anything to say?
I think a lot's gonna depend on the type of specialty that you're looking at, ASC,
Yeah, let's just go with ortho. I mean, we're just kind of.
2 hours, ortho, go.
Cheaper aspect. I mean, obviously, from an orthopedic setting, if you're going for minimally invasive and wanting to have, 4K monitors, you're looking at a much more expensive ASC compared to, I need a couple of dual surgical lights and, some
We
sterile
tried.
processing equipment.
We tried.
So it's a big difference between
We
the two.
tried.
There's really no way to put a finger on it until we have clinical conversations. He's got a number because he's got a corporate answer.
What's our corporate answer, Logan?
$1.2 million per OR.
1.2 million
There
per
you go.
OR for equipment planning purposes.
He said it.
You get extra dessert.
5%. I still for longer. Moved on.
Is there any other questions before we conclude? Going once? Okay, final question. You're up.
Dun, dun, dun.
No pressure.
All right, no pressure. Just kind of following up on that, I just wanted to ask each of the panelists, what have you seen as an example of an extremely successful model that you feel is worth sharing from each of your?
Somebody that did it super right. Stumped them.
That was not supposed to be a stump question.
We just had a transaction that closed on a gray shell, and they're building a 2 OR ASC, 4 physicians. I think what's really important is that the group gets together, they delegate one individual to communicate with everybody, and they are the persons responsible for getting, we ask for a lot of information and financial documentation. Physicians just, I'm a doctor, okay, but I still need to see your tax return. For me, it's a struggle getting all the documentation. Then once I have it, I'm off to the races. So I just think it's critical that they have one person that just is in charge of everything.
That's a really good point. I would say most of the groups that we've worked with where we've had a lot of success have had either a CFO or a COO or some sort of C in front of their name, or after their name. Where the most successful projects that we've worked on have had that type of individual where they've just been. It's tough to build that trust though with that one for 7 physicians
Yep.
or 12 physicians to trust one person. It's tough to get that consensus, but if the projects do have that person, it tends to help out.
Any other little clinical pearls, ideas, thoughts? Somebody that just did it really right.
I would say an administrator at a surgery center delegated the responsibilities of life safety to one person, because that's not something we usually see in the field. You usually see the administrator or the DON is the life safety, is quality, is this, is that, and it has to do this. And so being able to delegate just life safety to one person who gets involved with going to summits on life safety, getting that information, asking the right questions, and being able to build their life safety program up so once a surveyor comes in, it's lights out and they've got all the documentation on file. They've got their building all set. They know what the codes are. They don't have to know it all. There's too many to know. In all honesty, it really is. But to have a really great understanding, and there's been a few where they were able to delegate one person to it, and that was their sole responsibility, because there's a lot from doing daily checks to weekly checks, monthly checks, annual checks, triannual checks. There's just so much that is involved that one person trying to do it and accomplish the rest of their goals or their responsibilities that's a lot to undertake, and that's people that usually don't end up being successful for a life safety surveyor. So having one person dedicated is a really good model to follow.
So do they have to get a survey annually?
So surveys usually happen every 3 years. COVID kind of moved things around, so it pushed it back. Surveys that were due, let's say in December, got done in June. So but from what we're hearing, they're actually coming back. They're trying to reel that back and get the surveyors out there, quick survey, get it done, get to the next one, get to the next one, so they can get back on schedule. But every 3 years is their survey process.
Any final thoughts?
Logan back there.
Are you referencing just the joint commission, or are you doing DMV as well?
DMV, Quad ASF, Triple HC.
Any more alphabet soup you'd like to share? No, with that, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for attending. We hope you hang out. There's plenty of food and beverages left, and we definitely want you all in the room to know each other. That's the biggest magical moment that happens here, we find. But thank you to our panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Gettings. Thank you.
Appreciate it.